Welcome back, GPS to God. Daniel Sanders, Stefano Patterson, Ryan Gotro, and first time in a long time.
Oh, wow. She's
Not
in
first,
Yeah.
but yes,
those,
long time.
Those early ones.
Miss.
Oh, goodness. Episode
Maybe
2
like
or 3?
5, maybe?
I think
4?
it was, no, I think it was 2.
2?
Who was
Yeah.
first? Rico?
Rico, yeah.
was
Yeah,
number
we
one.
were, David and I were number 2.
Yeah.
And then we were in the Christmas episode.
Miss Jennifer Cuffman, right here with us. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are glad that she is here. Glad all of you are here. Check out the Instagram. Check out the website. Mailroom at gpstogod.com. That's how you can email us. All that cool kind of stuff you already know. Let's get right in it. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about reconciliation, making up, making nice, making amends. And so that's why we have Jennifer here with us today. I thought, who is annoyed the most people, had the most broken
A lot of
relationship
experience.
that they can come and talk about how they mended all that heartache.
You said Jennifer Kaufman. I said fights. So we're talking about
I
fighting today?
know. I know. Hey, like my marriage is like a reconciliation because he dumped me in high school and then God brought us back together. We reconciled.
Yeah, that's a great intro we just had. I don't know if it was blocked by that water bottle or not, but you're going to have to move that back a little bit. You can leave it on the table. You just got to have it in the
Right
back.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll see how that turns out. She's, breaking things already. Look at that.
You know what?
She fits right in.
Just so we can reconcile in action
She's
live.
Yeah, I forgive you for doing that.
Thank you.
For that sabotage. But man, all right, we're rolling already. So, what's changed? Anything changed since you've been here? That was 2 years ago. What
Well, it's
Wow,
different-
it's been that
different-
long?
Different setup.
matter of? I guess we need to talk about that. June of 2021 is when we started recording our very first episode.
That's mind blowing.
Here it is, June
Oh,
of
wow.
2023. We're still
Still
going.
here.
Still
Well,
rolling.
Still
People
here.
are allowed to be together again.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
that wasn't really, easy
That
to
was
do
frowned
in
upon,
2021.
Yes.
We finally bought a fan, an AC.
Well, I mean, you're bringing up stuff that really doesn't matter to anybody but us.
It doesn't.
But yeah, I mean, the room is different.
The room is different.
by
Yes,
quite a bit.
it is. But
Decorations.
like,
Not
I mean, I'm in the know, so I've gotten to see
You have,
peaks along the way of what's coming.
and you are one of the consumers of the podcast,
I am.
which we greatly appreciate.
I do
And
love the podcast.
You give us notes and feedback, and it's funny. Jennifer was, I don't know if she still does this, but she used to. She would tell me, I argue with you guys all the time on the podcast.
It is true.
When I listen
I
to
did
it, I'm
the
telling
Noah's
you.
Ark, not the Noah's, but like the animals, the who, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Noah's Ark tournament.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Like I would have loved to have been in the room.
Well,
I had all my arguments lined up.
I think we will do that again sometime, and you're in.
All right.
If and when we do it, you're in.
Yes.
There's been several people who told us we were right, wrong, whatever. But that's good. That's why we do it. We're happy for the interaction.
We can argue and then reconcile
What'd you
after.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
Like you were born to be here
she's
today.
a pro. You need. So we're gonna put you on the every other week schedule.
Right. You can take me off. Let her have my spot.
What DJ said? DJ had an argument for the Noah's Ark tournament, like something that.
Oh, he did. He did. First of all, he loved when I was listening to it, and he wants to go back and watch both of them again. And now I can't even remember I can't remember anything past like 30 minutes ago, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm old too, so it's all right.
I really don't remember.
I think
I mean, that just bombed. That fell real flat.
well, I think you commented on the
Oh, did
YouTube,
I? Oh,
maybe.
that's
Yeah.
right. He wanted. I did. I commented on
DJ
YouTube.
said moose over rhino. Moose over rhino.
He watched. He
okay.
watched something on Wildcrats, which is a kids cartoon, but it's like these two brothers and they do animals, like teach kids about animals. And he watched something and he was like, "There's something about their horns and the way they could like destroy." Yeah, he was convinced.
I went with rhino, but I was peer pressured a little bit. I was the only advocate for the moose, I think, on
Yeah.
that episode. None
Yeah.
of you guys were here, though.
I watched it, so I was trying to remember what
No.
exactly your
Yeah.
defense and everything was
Ty,
for it.
Yeah.
Ty and was
Yeah.
Savannah in that one?
Ty, Savannah, and Zach.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like Ty got a lot of the short end on a lot of those. Everything he
Wow.
went for was like not the
He had some
like
good
the
arguments.
majority.
You guys are. I mean, he was an underdog. He was pulling for a
the
lot
whole
of
time.
underdogs. But
Mm-hmm.
For
But-
sure.
talk about being old and not remembering. I didn't remember these guys weren't here. I mean, it kind of
Who,
happens.
Easy
who
to
are
do.
we?
More
Right,
than 30
Vano?
minutes
It's easy to
ago.
do.
Who are we?
It's easy to do,
It
man.
happens.
It's easy to do.
I apologize for that.
No,
Can
do
we
you?
reconcile this?
Do you? I don't know if I don't know if I'm ready yet.
Well, we'll talk. Well, let's talk through it.
That is important.
It's time for the airing of grievances. Here we go.
Let's go.
But that's a Seinfeld reference right there. But next will be the feats of strength. Fell just as flat as the first one. Let's move
Yep.
on. All right.
I don't remember that one.
That's the old
You said
Festivus.
feet-
Festivus
feet
for
of
the
str-
rest of us.
Oh,
All right. We're not going to spend any more time on that.
we're gonna have a
But,
Seinfeld episode. What?
Today we're going to talk about reconciliation. We don't know where that's going to go. Maybe someone will tell a personal story or two. Maybe we will all be too shy. We'll find out with the rest of you. But we're going to have a little Bible story that goes with this as well. Jacob and Esau. We're going to give the Cliff Notes version because we're still on a Book of Job hangover. But Jacob and Esau, brothers, pretty much started fighting immediately in the womb. One came out. Little baby brother was holding on to his heel, wouldn't let him go. That was Jacob holding on. But yeah, pretty much they were, brothers. Esau goes to, he's out at work one day. Jacob pulls a fast one on the dad and says, hey, I'm Esau. I'm the oldest. Why don't you go ahead and give me your blessing, Pops? And Jacob, he pulled it off because he put on the wool vest because Esau was a hairy guy, and Dad couldn't see anymore. So Isaac, the dad, couldn't see, so he pulled it off and gave the younger son the blessing. So then the brothers started, going at it. Pretty much went to war, and then there was some reconciliation in that. Esau shows up with 400 soldiers. Jacob was scared. He thought they were going to get taken over. He had split up the women and children, made half go one way, half go the other. So if Esau did come in on a rampage, at least some of the families would survive. But Esau then said, we will read this one. And I should have said this at the beginning. If you want to read this story in greater detail than these very fast and loose cliff notes, the book of Genesis, about chapter 25. Why don't you start there? We are going to be in chapter 33, however, verse number 4. And again, this is Jacob is kind of ready for battle. He's holed up. He's got everybody separated, women, children. Starting in verse 4, but Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. They had been at war, literal war, over this birthright, and they had both been blessed in the meantime. And later in the story, Jacob tries to give Esau livestock and kind of giving him some of the blessings he has given, and Esau's like, hey, man, I've been totally blessed. I don't need any of that. And they both were seeking God, both had a change of heart, all that big kind of stuff. Super Cliff Notes version. We're not going to get deep into that story today, but that is the Bible story reference of today. Please go check that out. Genesis chapter 25, read on through, and we may come back to it in greater detail later. But who wants to spill their guts? Who's got a broken story of friendship that was shattered and restored? Anybody?
Actually, the second time that Jacob had kind of duped, he'd kind of persuaded Esau to sell him his birthright, like early on too. So I know we're doing Cliff Notes, but yeah,
No, yeah,
it was
absolutely.
like
Keep adding to the
Jacob
story.
had Esau had every right to be a little bit upset. We'll say.
Mm-hmm. A lot of deception on Jacob's part.
A lot of deception.
lot of deception.
So the birth, when they were born, Jacob was holding on to Esau's, heel. Esau was born first. Jacob means he takes by the heel or he cheats. That's what the name Jacob
Mm.
means. So he'd been cheating
All those parents that named their kid Jacob. Now they're
since
like,
out of the womb. He had been cheating.
I need to change
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there was lots of back and forth, but
Well,
the reconciliation. I was talking about this story with some people the other day, which is how this episode came about. But just the transformation they had made, and you know, brothers. Even though you fight, if you have brothers that you fight with or siblings you fight with, you're still you still have a bond that no one else has, right? And so
Right.
when they meet each other and they just embrace and they both start weeping, it's like, man, I've missed my brother. I've missed this confidant. I've missed all this time over stuff that's not important, stuff that's going to go away, stuff that's temporary.
Can I throw a wrench in everything?
Absolutely.
So I'm not convinced that they fully reconciled.
Well,
And here's why.
all right. Let's
Here's
have
why.
it.
Okay, so I've been. I know. Okay, well, first let me give some context. Okay, because y'all did a whole Enneagram episode, and I am very much a 9, and the 9 is the peacemaker.
Who's the 9?
me.
Yeah, the 9 is like a conflict avoidant.
I wanna
Doesn't
come
want
back- I
people
wanna
to
come
be.
back to that.
Doesn't want people to be upset. And so I have spent a lifetime trying to figure out how to honor things in Scripture that talk about how we should have unity in the body and trying to mend relationships when maybe the other person doesn't want to put forth the effort to mend it or whatnot. So I have, for a long time looked at these kinds of situations just in my own life. And so there are 3 words that I have really been digging into. They're forgiveness, reconciliation, and restoration. And what I am coming to see is that there is a difference in them. And so first, look, I'm going to give you the definitions because I am a former teacher and, that's
There
what
it
we
is.
like to do. We like to do all of the learning things. Okay, so this is just like I Googled the definition for each of these words. It's not like from a special dictionary or anything. Okay, forgive, to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake, which means forgiveness can be just you without the other person participating, which is important because we're told to forgive 70 times 7, like continue to forgive. And that means we have to forgive people who have not repented for what they've done. So there's forgiveness. Then reconcile is to restore friendly relations between, which has the connotation of both parties being involved and coming back to a place where there is a relationship again. Okay, so the reason,
What was the third word you said?
the third one is restoration, and I
Okay.
don't have the definition for that right here. But so with the forgiveness and reconciliation, part of me wonders if there was more forgiveness than there was reconciliation, because when we get later into chapter 33, Jacob tried to offer his stuff to Esau, and Esau was like, no, you don't need to. Like, I've got enough. And Esau says, let's take our journey and go. I will go before you. And so Esau is leaving with his people to go down to Seir. I don't know if that's how you say it. That's how we're going to say it today. Seir. Okay. And it's understood
I like it.
that Jacob is going to follow, but Jacob doesn't follow. Esau goes down south to Seir, and Jacob goes west to Succoth, and then even further to Shechem. And he never goes down where Esau is. And so it's like his deception continued. He was like, yeah, we'll be right behind you. And then he's like, I'm going to book it this way. And so I wonder if there was forgiveness from Esau, but there wasn't true reconciliation because Jacob never got to a place where he was truly willing to humble himself and repent for all he did. I'm not saying that that's what's happened because
It's a very interesting angle.
I don't know, but it just was kind of like, why didn't he continue down? And now it does say later that they buried their father together. So they do come back together again. I think that's in chapter 35, maybe at the end of chapter 35, that they come together and bury Isaac together. So it does show them back together again. And, I don't know how they ended up getting back together again, but that's just I don't know. Is that true reconciliation if it was yay and hugs and crying and all right, I'll see you, we're right behind you, and then he pieces off in another direction and like he's still running scared? Or
So you're saying it was more forgiveness and reconciliation.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're saying it's one-sided.
Maybe.
So we're talking about forgiveness then today.
It's all connected.
But it is all connected. And I think
Right.
sometimes we get them, like we interchange them when maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves that we need to reconcile with other people. But I'm not sure you can reconcile with other people if other people are not willing to truly repent from whatever happened that caused the division in the first place. So that's why I told you.
Gotcha.
Throwing a wrench.
No. And step into our world today, that process, if there is a broken relationship that's had strife of whatever kind, that restoration process or reconciliation, all of that, it's going to take time.
Without a
So
doubt.
even though you both may agree, yes, let's repair this this relationship, friendship, whatever it is, it's going to take time. And there may be I still need some time apart before we're running the same direction.
True.
You start
Yeah.
going that way. I need to take a little detour, but
Yeah.
we're coming back. So, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And Jacob does repent and restore his relationship with God, and God blesses him later as well. So it's,
Right.
but what you're saying, it's going to take time. Because it's feelings, it's emotions, it's all that stuff that if you have a friendship or a relationship that's broken and you're offended, you're hurt, you're not going to come running back and necessarily and it be fixed immediately.
Not everyone forgives on the same timetable.
Yeah. And
Very true.
we'll come back to that too about the forgiveness part, and it's on you and not the other person. But since you brought up number 9 personality type,
Yes.
our buddy Fano over here, I will say when we get into it sometimes, and when I say we get into it, it's minor.
Fists come out every time.
At least 1 out of 10 times it's my fault. And
Is that based on what you
1
say
out
or
of
what
10.
Fano says?
Let's start this by saying Daniel is a 3.
Yes. Oh, I remember.
That's right. I couldn't remember if I was a 3 or a 6 because I knew I was
You're a
one or the
6.
other, so I'm
You
a
were
6.
the
Daniel's a
6.
3.
Yep. I'm a
Yes,
6.
I know,
Zach is a
because y'all are
3.
the triangle.
Zach is a 3.
Yep.
But when we have these disputes, and most of the time, I would say 95% or more, it's over text messages, which tone
Never
and all
good.
that stuff is always
Oh,
messed
yes.
up over text messages.
Absolutely.
But I will say it will get to a point, and I'm the bulldozer in those conversations most of the time. But it comes to a point where Fano's just like, "Hey man, it's all good. We're fine." Like he is very much the peacemaker, and is like, whatever we're talking about, it really doesn't matter. We'll fix it later. Like
Yeah.
we're good.
That is his personality.
Yes.
And I appreciate that for Fano. And
Well,
Absolutely.
It's good, but we
Yes.
can take it
I
too
love
far
you
to the
too.
extreme. We can there's healthy conflict, and we can be conflict avoidant to our detriment.
yeah.
So
There's
We have to-
I mean, there's always a bad part of your Enneagram thing. We went through
yeah.
all
Right.
everything. There's a part that you like, and there's a part that you don't like either.
we're saying Enneagram, but really it's your
Your
personality.
personality.
Yes.
Sorry.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be sorry about, Peacemaker. But
Daniel, on the podcast, on the YouTube, we should put a little link or something up there where we go back to that episode.
we
yeah,
Definitely need to go
We
back to
will.
that.
Yeah.
But just anybody's personality. The
Yeah.
Enneagram is like a generic
Right.
or starting point for your personality
Right.
type. But yeah,
Yeah.
whether you're a peacemaker, you're somebody that wants to compete and fight all the time, or there's positives and negatives
That one.
to all of that.
For sure.
So.
For sure.
Yep.
But yeah, Fano is normally the one that's just like, all right, man, we've let you go long enough. It's time to let's move on. Let's move on. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, I guess.
And Ryan just keeps his head down. He's like, they're not talking about me.
Yeah.
We'll stay out of it.
Is it just
I'm out
the
of it.
three of you in these messages?
So,
Majority of the time.
Yeah. I mean, we have our own group text with just the
Yes.
three of us where we talk
No,
about.
they're back and forth texting, and I'm going, please don't bring me up. Please don't bring me up. Please don't bring me up.
Can
What
we
can I
get
say right now if they
those-
bring me up?
Can we get those outtakes in a
No.
podcast
No.
episode?
Yeah,
I
that
don't know.
subscription
They're
model.
just
I'm making it sound like it's crazy. It's
I know.
normally not
No.
that
Yeah.
bad. Like, it would be boring to most other people.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just,
silly stuff.
silly stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's.
Most
I
arguments
don't
are.
know. Like, it's so silly, I can't even remember a specific example.
I
So,
couldn't even.
But sometimes we do have other group texts with, like, Zach Edson or somebody in
Potster.
it. And it's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
But-
Who's that?
Zach
Oh.
Potster.
I didn't say it.
I did.
yeah. He know, yeah.
He knows.
He knows.
I've done that in other groups, like larger group texts with 7, 8, 10 people, and somebody will say something, and I'll message a buddy like independently, like I'm about to blow this up, just to watch the show.
See, and a 9 would not do that.
Right.
A 9 would never do that.
Now I would feel awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, or just not respond to it. Probably.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just there to watch the show.
Yeah.
It's like-
I might hide the alerts so I don't even know what's going off.
I do that sometimes too if I'm busy or whatever, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. But I'm just like, I don't have time for all this.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what do we talk? Forgiveness.
Reconciliation.
Reconciliation, but forgiveness. Coming back to the forgiveness side, it has to be you.
Yeah.
You can't start like Fano and I are having an argument, and I have to forgive him. If I feel like I've been wronged by him, I have to forgive him. I can't make him forgive me or whatever. It has to be me. And then that doesn't necessarily mean you forget. But
Right.
you're
Right.
like, hey, that's where the trap comes in
Mm-hmm.
because it's like Satan's going to play with your mind and like, don't you remember what they
Yeah.
did to you?
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to put that, I've already forgiven him. I can't get stuck in that trap. We're moving on. We're past it. We're going better
Right.
places. That's hard to, I mean, that's
Yeah.
easy to say, hard
It
to
is.
do.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's difficult to do that, and also to just step back and just say that. I mean, we're such selfish, self-absorbed people at times that it's tough for you to step back and say, maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough for that to. It's tough for you to just drop your pride and just say, well, maybe he is right.
Mm.
It's very dumb. I mean, because we're sinners and foolish people and stuff, and then we're all prideful about everything. So it's just tough for you to step back and just admit when you're wrong about things. And that's what I've been guilty of throughout my entire life.
Not just you. I think
Join the club.
pretty common statement.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody wants to share a personal story, but I'll share a personal story just to kick
You
it
got
off
one.
here.
You got one.
Oh yeah, this one is it's going to be Cliff Notes version as well, but lots of emotions in this relationship for a time there. Me and my buddy Shane, and he won't mind me sharing his name because we've talked about this with other people, but he was my best friend in the Army. Still one of my best friends in my life. I could call him right now and he would show up for anything. We went all over the world together, literally did a lot of stuff together. We clicked and we were friends. We liked to hang out. We worked well together. He lived in my house for like 6 months or more. Like we were boys. He took a different career path, got promoted in the Army, but we were still working together. But he was over me, so he outranked me then when that happened. And he'll tell you the same. I'm not betraying his confidence, but we had a huge falling out and when he got promoted, I don't remember now. I think he was living with me at the time. So
the cost of the promotion?
No.
Okay. Just something else.
So where we worked in Nashville. He lives 2.5 hours away from Nashville. So when we got this job that we were doing, he had to live local because it was an everyday job. So moved in with me, no problem. We were kind of like kids, right? So we get up, we go to work every day, and I was married. My daughter was maybe 2 years old. She was pretty little, but so we'd get up, go to work. Rode together. We were never apart from each other, which was part of the problem, after months and months and months. But we'll get up, we go to work, come home. I'm, playing with Ashlyn, Christy. We're all eat together, all this stuff. Whenever they would go to bed, we'd put Ashlyn in bed. Christy we'd watch a movie together or something like that, and then she'd all right, I'm going to bed. As soon as the girls went to bed, me and Shane would fire up the Xbox, and we'd play video games till 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes. And we tried, like we always set a deadline. It's like, all right,
that don't happen.
hey, man,
That don't happen.
One
Why
more,
even set
one
it?
more.
11 o'clock tonight, or we'll go to midnight. And then it's like, you look at the clock, you're like, oh my man, it's 2:30 in the morning. Dude, we got to be up in 4 hours. So, but it was that kind of like having fun all the time. Get up, go to work, do what we need to do, come back, have fun. When he got this promotion, he like that new position he was in, he needed to do things differently than he had done before. And he didn't do that the best. And he'll tell you that too. But I needed to give him a different level of respect in the workplace. And I wasn't doing that the best, like the way I should have been. And so there was conflict on both sides, and it got to be really bad. Like, he left my house. We didn't speak to each other. That job came to, and we were only doing that for basically a contract. So we had a set time of 9 months we did that job. And so that job ended, and I actually left early. I was able to leave early, by a month. And, we didn't speak at all. And we went from living each other, never being apart, from I couldn't even stand to see him.
Wow.
And he couldn't stand to see me either. It was mutual. All of our common friends, nobody wanted to be around us, because it was straight tension.
So you would only see him at
I would
work.
see him, yeah,
Okay.
after that. But then it became once I left that contract, we would only see each other 2 days a month.
Gotcha.
But nobody wanted to. We weren't around each other, but nobody wanted to be in the same room with us because it was not good. And we never came to throwing punches or nothing, but we could have got there quick, right? Just stupid brothers. But that went on for months, and then we were going to go overseas together for a deployment, and he was the boss, and this sounds like a type 3 brag or whatever, but for one of the positions, really for any of the positions, but I was the best guy he could take. There was nobody better at my job than me.
Yeah.
He knew that. I knew that. And I was like, hey, man, I want to go, all this. So, that kind of was the thing that got us to working on our relationship again. And we had another friend who was a great mediator, even before that, and he was telling us, he and I would go out to lunch together, and he Daniel, you're wrong. When you say this to him, here's what he hears. Mm. And then he and Shane would go out, and he'd tell Shane the same thing. Shane, you're wrong. When you say this, here's what happens. So we worked through it all. That's a real long story. That was longer than I thought it'd be, but there's way more that happened in that. Long story short, we reconciled. We forgave each other. We reconciled, and it took a lot of talking and a lot of emotions, which we were both terrible with. We both had emotions, but telling somebody else, here's what I feel, here's what I think. when you say this, when you do that, whatever. So, but yeah, best friends again. I mean, we went on multiple deployments after that, did multiple stuff, and he was at my house like 2 weeks ago. So,
Do you feel like the friendship is back to where it was prior to all of that?
I mean, I would probably say it's better now because of all that. Like, we know, man, we made it through that, so we could make it through. And we don't see each other as much anymore because we're not working together. But I would say it's stronger because it's because of that hardship. And we know, like, ultimately it was dumb, like what we were arguing about and stuff. But in the moment, it was real. And, you know, we thought we were doing what was best, but it was really wasn't. But I mean, we would say now, like, nothing could come between us. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. No.
How long, like, was the like reconciliation? I know you said y'all talked.
Like the
Y'all
process.
talked like what? How long of a process were you talking about? Like years?
No,
like y'all would.
it was months.
Okay, y'all would just talk and then
Yeah,
die down, and then y'all would just talk again and
yeah,
just started talking more, I guess, or
yeah. Just started talking more, and then we were probably. I'm trying to remember.
but you were, I guess, you were deployed
We
during the
were-
reconciliation, I guess.
We were on the cusp of being reconciled by that time. So
Okay,
that's why I was trying to think.
Not as long as Job and his friends.
No, not that long.
we don't know how long that was. Though. We don't.
Exactly. We don't know.
So we probably had probably about 8 months from the time we left, when I left that contract work, and we were at odds and we didn't care if we ever saw each other again until the time we left for deployment was probably about 8 months.
Wow.
And it took that entire 8 months for us to kind of be okay enough that we're like, okay, I think we can make it through this deployment together. Because when we knew, like, going on deployment, we were going to be with each other every
Right.
single day.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, it took pretty much that entire 8 months to get to a point where it's like, we're good enough that we're not going to kill each other. We can work and be professionals. We may not be best friends, but we'll be okay. And then by the time that deployment ended, we were buds. We were good. So went on other deployments and other stuff.
Do you remember who reached out first?
No, I
Sorry,
don't.
I don't mean to pry into you. Just
no,
No, that's a
okay.
great question.
I volunteered to share this story. So, I mean, we still worked together part-time,
I
so
got
we
you.
had to, there was some overlap.
I got you.
Where we had to at least be professional, which was fine, that wasn't a problem. Because we could kind of put a mask on in front of other.
Right.
Now, like, kind of our peer group, they knew we had a falling out. But, like, for the people under us, we couldn't, like, they couldn't see that.
Mhm.
Like, we had to be professionals in
Right.
those moments. But it was probably, I would say it's probably mutual, 50-50. Like, we were both walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
So, like, when we're around each other, like, I may cut a small joke with him. Okay, we made that, but now I'm leaving. He would do the same thing with me, kind of thing. And it's like, if I say this, will he blow up? Will he not? Will we be good? Like, you know.
Gotcha.
Is Shane the one that came on the podcast?
No.
Okay. The
No,
one
that was Travis.
running over the
Yeah.
the ostrich.
Travis
Story.
ran over the emu. Or
The
whatever
emu,
it
that's
was.
what it was.
Llama. He ran over.
It was a llama?
Alpaca.
Alpaca.
Llama?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's underneath the coat.
Blew that story. Never mind. I just thought I was thinking
Saw
that's
him at the
when you said
ballpark,
Shay,
like,
that's who I was thinking.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. You had huge eyes. You don't remember that story. That was a
I
story.
told you if it's more than 30 minutes ago, I can't remember it.
Does she really listen to our podcast?
I do.
Travis
I do.
telling
Does
us.
she really?
I watched some episodes more than
you-
once.
I wish I knew what number that was to tell you, like,
I'll
right
find
now.
Because
Go
Daniel
back.
has said that Travis has to tell. Just him
yeah.
telling that story. It was
Like, I don't want to go back and watch that now, just to listen to
I
the story
think
again.
Hometown Heroes is the title.
Yep,
of that
you're right.
episode.
I'll go back and watch
Because
it.
that was
Because it was
a
Becca.
split episode
Him-
between
him and
Rebecca and
Becca.
him.
but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hometown Heroes. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. That-
Sorry for the
I'll
detour.
have to watch that tonight.
Go back and watch it again.
Laughing all over again.
You're welcome.
But yeah, we probably it was probably 50-50 who was making that contact and how it went, but very tentative from both sides for sure until.
Was it a conscious decision on your part? Like, did you have a moment where you thought we need to reconcile? Maybe not that word, or was it more out of necessity because you knew you were going to be working so closely together?
Yeah. So in that moment, well, this is, man, whew, bringing the heat right in. In that moment, like at that time, if I would not have said, and I'm very dismissive anyway. Like if somebody doesn't like me or we don't get along, I'm fine to be like, that's cool, man. We don't get along. See you. Like I don't have any heartache over that typically. So we could have never seen each other again. I'd be like, all right.
It would have been easy for you to walk away.
But I had to lay my pride down a little bit, and I had to humble myself. I kind of had to go to him because he was the boss of the deployment. So for me to get on that deployment, I had to like, hey man, I'm sorry. I know we've had like our falling out. I am not going to be an issue. I want to go on this deployment. But he had to say yes. Like he had all the power to say no.
Yeah.
And it wasn't I think it was an instant yes with a caveat. He's like, hey man, this stuff we've been having, we cannot have this. And I don't remember. I want to say maybe the answer was no at the very beginning because he's like, I got a full crew. And I was like, man, something happens, call me. Like, you know what I can do. Like, you know what I can do. You know I'm going to be a valuable member of the team. But and it was very short order. He called, like, I was on the list really quick, which was all due to him. And then some other people falling off for legitimate reasons. But really it was due to him looking out for me. And but, yeah, it was – I mean, he had all the power at that point, and he could have been petty or small or been like, you hurt me too much or whatever. We got enough people. I don't need you. But he would tell you too. He knew I was going to help him in areas that he was not as strong.
Right.
So it was both sides.
Yeah. You both showed humility. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And later, like, that was one thing that came out of that. All that was for our relationship is like we kind of recognized each other's strengths and weaknesses better, and we would admit to each other, man, I'm terrible at this. I need your help, and that just made us both better as teammates. So
yeah. So one thing that you said that I think it's like good for people to realize, because you said you could have basically just like turned and walked away and like would have been fine. And I think there are a lot of people like that. I am not one of those. I'm not one of those at all. But I will feel like a horrible person if I do that. But I do know a lot of people who can do that, but you didn't, and y'all are great friends now. And it sounds like if you had done it, you wouldn't have felt like you were missing out on anything, but you actually would have been.
yeah,
If you had not made the decision to do the hard work. I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't one conversation. You said like 8 months that it took of a lot of awkward.
8 months just to get to a point where we could be in a room together without feeling.
So then longer than that.
Yes, longer than
to
that.
really reconcile and get back to where you were. And I think a lot of times it's easy for people to just say, this is too hard. Like, I don't need this, and just turn and walk away. But I think that's one of the reasons God throughout Scripture emphasizes the importance of unity so much, because he knows what we are missing if we just turn and walk away. We don't always realize it because in the moment it's easier. And so we think easier is better, but sometimes harder is better, and harder in your case was better because you got your friendship back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got a lot of other things, professionally from being able to go on those deployments. A lot of, I don't want to brag, but a lot of good stuff happened for me professionally from going on those deployments. And, it was all because of him.
Yeah.
Being humble himself and really allowing me to go. So.
Yeah.
So obviously this was several years ago. Do you, because you describe yourself as you know, being able to walk away and not, do you think like if the situation was reversed and you were the boss,
If our roles were reversed,
do you think you would have just said no to him and walked away? That might be a tough question. You might not even be able to answer that.
I mean, I could make a
Knowing
guess.
that-
They're
knowing
friends
that-
now. Do they?
Right.
Don't listen to
Start
this.
something
Knowing
new.
that-
Don't listen to this
knowing that-
podcast.
knowing that his skill set would have helped the team and everything, do you think?
I mean, I'd like to think I would have made the same decision he made.
Right.
And I would have taken him if I had
Yeah.
that power to do so. But,
Right. I know that's tough.
I can also say honestly that I could see very easily where I would have not. Like, I don't want to deal with
Yeah.
that headache. And
Right.
we're in an okay place.
Yeah.
I don't want to make that worse. So I
Right.
think we don't need to be that close.
Yeah.
It's hard,
Yeah.
but
I hear you.
I'm glad he made the decision he did. But I mean, I saw him 2 weeks ago or so, and he was in town for work and was passing through, and I was like, hey man, he was going to visit late in the evening. I was like, man, just hang out, stay the night, and then go home the next morning, because it's 2.5, 3 hour drive for him. And I was like, just hang out. And he's like, yeah. This was all over text message. And then he stops by the house, and he's like, man, I can't stay tonight. I'm going to go ahead and go home, because he had some other, and I was genuinely sad when he told me. So, I mean,
Y'all gonna fire up the Xbox?
full
again?
circle. We probably so. But just to hang out and tell, because we don't see each other as much anymore. Just telling stories, catching up, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I mean, we've vacationed before the falling out. Like he and his wife, we've all vacationed together. Like they've driven 3 hours just to go to a hockey game. Like we'll just go hang out at a hockey game, or we'll go visit by their house, and we've gone to aquariums and stuff in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and different stuff. So, like, we've hung out families together. But yeah, when he said, "Nah, I got to go home tonight," I was sad. I was like,
That's great. That
it
gives me
is.
hope. So I have a story.
good, because this got real
I
one-sided.
do.
All of a sudden.
Well, you're gonna like this, because my
You
story,
did good, man. Did
mine
good.
doesn't have a happy ending yet. We are still in the unreconciled phase of things.
Let's hear it.
So I know. So I have a friendship that I had for a long time, and I was the person who unintentionally caused the hurt in this friendship. We ended up with different expectations, and I chose my husband and to meet his expectations over my friend. And that caused a lot of hurt feelings. And I would make the same decision again, but I hate that it hurt my friend. And we've talked about it some, but I just feel like she really still thinks I made the wrong choice. And so because we are still at a disagreement about that, it's like we haven't really been able to get back to where we were. And for a long time, that was really hard for me. Like I felt like I needed to keep working really hard. Like I've got to fix this. Because I'm the 9 and I want all of the peace and I don't want the conflict or the disharmony or any of those things. And there's scripture that says, as your responsibility, or as possible as it is for you, be at peace with everyone. And, and so I'm like, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to fix this. But then I feel like God has been showing me that reconciliation really does take both people. Like it really does take both people. Reconciliation is not something that you can force, even when you can see the value in it. And I can see the value of the reconciliation because I've treasured the friendship. But I cannot force her to change how she felt or the hurt she felt or any of those things. So I am still very much in a place of just waiting, like hoping and praying for reconciliation. But I've apologized for what I could apologize for, asked forgiveness. I given forgiveness where forgiveness was needed. I don't really know that. I mean, I think it was just more misunderstanding and unmet expectations rather than really wronging each other. But it's taken a lot for me to realize it's actually okay not to be reconciled because I can't control the person on the other end of things. But your story gives me hope that it's still possible. God could still do, of course he can. God can do anything.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't fast for us. And like I said, it was 8 months from we can't even be in a room together to we're just okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was longer after that, and then we were good.
Yeah.
But it was a long time. I mean, it was, a year or more till I didn't have any thoughts of, are we good? Is he going to blow up if I say this? Or just a weird feeling being in the room together kind of thing. Like, normal thoughts that, you have with your friends. You just go do whatever. And
Yeah.
so, but it took a long time. And it did take humbleness and stuff I wasn't comfortable with. He wasn't comfortable with, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I just think that's so good for everybody to hear because, like you said, forgive and forget is preached. Well, not preached like from the pulpit, but just the world, forgive and forget. But man, like sometimes, I know I said if it's more than 30 minutes ago, I can't remember, but I can remember things, unfortunately.
The things that
Do you remember the
things
beginning of
that
this
hurt you.
podcast? 'Cause it's been
Yeah.
longer than 30
I don't
minutes.
know.
Just like
I don't know.
you said, Daniel, the things that hurt you.
Yes.
That's what you remember.
Yes, they
Mhm.
stick with
Yep.
you. And I'm sure that's why God says love holds no record of wrongs because he knows that they're going to stick with us. And so we have to continue to release those. But for people who are out there who are thinking, I'm trying to reconcile and it's not happening, or this is going so slowly, like I think it's good for them to hear it is a process. It is not it's not something that can just be undone overnight because rebuilding trust, that's a process and that's okay.
When you and your friend talk, do y'all talk about other things, or does it always go back to
We don't
the
go back
issue?
to that. No,
Okay.
we don't. We, other things, talk about our families and our kids.
Do you
and
talk? That was
we do occasionally, not as much as we used to.
Okay.
We do occasionally. It's harder now because our schedules are like very opposite now. So, and we're in different time zones. And so just like finding that time to be able, it's more challenging. But we do talk occasionally and catch up with each other and social media, Facebook is, but it's just, it's not the same, like that feeling, that like comfort that just was, you could just be with each other, that's just, we've lost that. And I would love to have that back. I would.
Yeah.
Is it an equal reaching out? Like you reach out, like, is it always you reaching out to her? Or is
It's
it?
a little harder when the questions are
It
coming
is.
to you, huh?
It
I
is.
have all these questions, but I'm
I know.
Fucking with the hot
sorry.
stuff right
sorry.
here.
No, it's
I'm
good.
on
Hey.
stuff.
It's good stuff,
I'm
yeah.
I'm just scared.
They
Yeah,
are
I'm just
good
prodding.
But what
Processing
she
it
had
all.
no problem reeling
I
those
know.
questions this way.
Question
Now when they're
1, 2,
coming that
3.
way-
Hold up.
I'm
Didn't know it was coming at me.
auditioning. I'm auditioning for the future host.
Oh, you've already got it. Yeah.
No, that is a good question. So before everything went south, she was definitely the one that reached out more. It's her personality more than it is mine, which is not an excuse.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make it acceptable, but it's just, I've never been good at like doing the phone calls or whatever. I really don't love talking on the phone. Period. I would much rather text you or like be in person with you. But when you are in different states, you can't be in person together. So after everything happened, I probably reached out more because I wanted so much to fix it. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just one of those things that needs more time.
So I know this is still an active situation. So, we'll be careful with the questions and answers.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, have you had the deep conversations of thoughts and feelings? And when you say this or when you do this, here's what I feel, here's what I think.
Ooh, we have not used that language. No.
So
Now, we are girls.
yeah.
So we
So I
tend
would
to
have thought
do
it comes
feelings.
easier. Yeah.
We tend to do feelings more, but it is easy for girls to get so focused on our own hurt feelings and to be talking from our emotion, out of our emotion. And look, I see.
You're good.
Every man knows that we are very good at doing that. And it's hard for us sometimes to get out of the emotion and be able to talk about it in like just the strictly rational, logical, let me look at and explain to you what I'm feeling, because our feelings just are so dominant
Yeah.
that it's harder to do that sometimes.
So I will say for me and Shane, that's when we started seeing movement, which is hard for guys. It's hard for everybody, but it was especially hard for us. 2 type A personalities who were really the best of the best in what we were doing. But when we started having those hard conversations, that's when progress started happening. And again, it still was not instant progress, but it helped. Like for us, it was like, I've been having feelings about this. I don't tell anybody, but I've been having feelings. And then to hear him say, man, I've been having feelings when this happens, or here's how I felt when this happened, whatever. Then it's like, all right, well, we're in the same boat. We're fighting the same fight. We're just kind of like paddling different directions right now. So I don't know that that's a suggestion, but that's what happened for us. That's what started the healing process. It is harder if you have that separation, I would guess, from being in different states. But that's what helped us when we were, and that was the hardest part too, was admitting those feelings and all that kind of stuff. But when we did that, that started the mending process.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good suggestion.
So like you picking, obviously the argument started with you saying that you pick sides with your husband. Do you feel like that was the main topic of like, maybe that's why they don't want to reconcile with you, is because they know what your answer is already? Like, time and time again, I'm going to pick my husband. And that's where the conversation probably would need to be.
It could be. What I sense is that it just really hurt her feelings, and she still feels wounded by that,
Right.
and hasn't.
Yeah.
That is just still fresh.
But forgiving what happened in that situation compared to, I don't want to forgive because I know her answer is, I'm going to do that over and over and over again.
Well, and it could be, and it could be that she saw, like, again, because it had to do with expectations, and it could be that she saw that her expectations of how things would go may not ever go that way, and so then it is just like a permanent disappointment. And it can be easy to go, well, then why am I even trying? Like, why are we even, if I'm never going to be able to have, what I have pictured in this friendship, then why am I even trying? It's easy to do.
Yeah.
I sent Shane a text. I did a lot of talking for Shane about Shane. I think I'm going to call him. He said he would take a phone call and he'll come on, and I don't know that he's going to rehash all of that. But I can tell him what we've been talking about, and we can see if he wants to add anything, or if he says I'm a dirty liar and none of that was true.
Hello?
What's up, man?
I don't know. You tell me, brother.
Well, you're live on the podcast here with me and 3 other people, so
Oh, Lord.
you're a superstar.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Good.
So, man, we're talking about like reconciliation and fixing friendships and stuff and working through hard times. So I took it upon myself to tell a little story about 2 knuckleheads who were buddies and then had a falling out. and then became buddies again. So just wanted to, make sure you were good with me sharing that with the world. I thought you'd be all right with it, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, I went through the fast version. But anything you want to add? Anything you want to talk about? You want to just throw your feelings out here to the world?
No, not having heard what you said. I mean, yeah, you probably.
Yeah, you called him now.
Yeah, you probably hit everything. So yeah, you're pretty thorough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I gave the fast version, but just we were boys living in the same house, doing all that stuff, and then had a falling out. And I think we both would say we were wrong on multiple things, and just how long it took to mend the relationship and fix things, and like we both had to talk about feelings and talk about uncomfortable things. And here's what I think when you do this or say that, and
Right.
that's kind of what started the healing process. But it was a long time, a year or more, to kind of mend the hurt.
Was it that long? I don't remember it being that long.
That's because I'm such a good guy to
Oh,
hang
my
out with.
goodness.
Oh my goodness! You can hang up now if you would
Oh,
like. I don't want to listen to him, but I'm here with them.
Goodness gracious.
But,
But I
yeah,
mean,
I
from
don't-
the time, like, leading up to the first deployment, all that kind of stuff. When I left work, and you were. This is something I didn't say. I forgot about to now. So when I left work, Shane was still there working, and there was opportunity for me to come back. And he asked me a couple times, "Hey, we have this. Do you want to come back to work in Nashville?" And I said no, because it was still fresh, and I didn't want to go back to that situation because we were, not reconciled yet. So, but I told all the stuff that happened, and then I gave you the credit. I said that deployment came up, and you were the boss, and you took me back. I had to just kind of lay myself down there and say, "Hey, I want to go," and you were humble and gracious, and allowed me to do that. So gave you the credit, man.
Well, I don't think I deserve that credit because it's a no-brainer bringing you on the team. I mean,
I said that too, so you don't have to worry about that. But
no, I mean it's true. I mean you're real organized, and it was an asset. I didn't know what I didn't know
yeah, well,
going into that first one.
yeah, and I said that too. Like I think the falling out we had was like we both admitted our faults to each other, so it made us a better team. Of, hey man, I don't do this good. I know you do, and that came from both ends, and where we just kind of we helped each other out more, because we were more honest. That's something I didn't say. Like we were more honest in our relationship. I think like we would talk about emotions and stuff with I'm having a fight with my wife about this, and I mean we talked about that stuff already, but we were more could talk about our feelings and more emotions more with each other because we had already been in that place of heartache and hurt, and we worked through all that. I did tell him, man, I don't know that I told you this, but when you were at the house a couple weeks ago and you ended up going home instead of staying the night, I was hurt. That
Really?
I was sad that, and I thought the boys were going to hang out again and play Xbox.
Oh, well, all you got to do is holler at me. I mean,
I know.
I'm in town. End of July. So
There you go.
Well, there we go. If y'all are looking for me, we'll be at my house till 2, 3 a.m. playing Xbox. But, really, man, I just, did a lot of talking about that period in our lives and wanted to get you on the line so people didn't think I was talking out of turn. But
oh no, you're 100% accurate. I mean, it was rough. It was rough. I know it was real rough on my end because, I'm living in your house, trying to be your boss, and that ain't working out too good.
yeah,
So
that is a dynamic that kind of changed. Like he was the boss at work, but then when we would get home, it kind of flipped and like, you ain't doing that in my house kind of thing.
no.
Like, yeah,
But
I forgot about
I
that.
don't-
I blocked that part out. But
Yeah, I don't remember doing anything out of line anywhere, but
No.
and I think we had another party kind of stirring the pot a little bit. I mean, but that's my perspective on it. But we're good.
So, all right, man. Well, thanks. I know it's late over there, but just wanted to,
Nah.
bring you on, let you make your podcast
All right.
debut.
You just talking
Y'all
about
got-
being
y'all
up
got-
until like 2 a.m. It's late right now.
He's an hour ahead of us.
I know.
So,
It's not 2 a.m. though.
yeah, we're older now. That clock.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
Ron. That was years ago.
But y'all get any questions or anything like from the store, like before? I
Yeah.
cut them off.
Ask away.
I don't.
Jennifer's got something.
Come on, Jennifer.
Go ahead.
I don't know that I have a serious one.
Oh, it can be silly. It doesn't
Oh,
have to
yeah.
be serious.
I was just going to ask if you really are Daniel's friend again, or if you're just pretending to be.
No, he's my boy. I mean, I'd do anything in the world for that dude.
No.
That's sweet.
We're
That's
brothers.
Mm.
I talk to
All right.
him more than I talk to my
From another
brothers.
mother.
Oh, I do have a question.
Okay.
So Daniel told us that because of his personality, it could have been easy for him to just be like, man, forget it. I don't have time for this, and just kind of walk away and never try to reconcile or anything. Did you ever have those same thoughts or feelings about it? Like it was just easier to just forget it and move on?
No.
We're talking about like
I don't-
at the worst time of the arguments and fights,
Mhm.
like at the very worst time.
I still no, because I was like, I just want my friend back.
Mm.
I mean, who cares about this? I mean, a job's a job. I mean, what we was doing a little bit important, I guess, but I'd rather have my friend than anything, than some silly job. I mean, no, I wanted to smack him in the head a couple of times, but I'm sure
Yeah, we do
that
too.
was
He
the
coulda
other way
used
around,
it.
too. But I mean, we grew up together. I mean, we went through some hard times early on,
Mm-hmm.
and then some rough times through Africa and Indiana. Those were horrible times, but we got through it together, and that kind of makes you treasure each other that much more. Like, you remember that time? And you be like, oh yeah, and you can't share that with everybody. So no, I never wanted to just walk away.
I will
Walk
say,
away from the job, maybe, but not Daniel.
he like Shane. I've learned a lot of lessons from. He's probably the most giving person I know. Like even for people he doesn't know, is like I've seen him give stuff away. It's like, dude, I don't know how you just did that, but he would give you anybody here. He'd give you the shirt off his back. Just for no reason other than you said I need that or I want that, and here you go. So, well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, and we'll fire up that Xbox here in another month or so.
Yeah, just anytime you need a guest appearance, I'm just holler.
All right, man. Tell Sarah I said hello.
All right, we'll do.
See
We'll
ya.
see ya.
That's good.
Nice.
Do we know Shane's Enneagram number?
It's not a 3.
No.
Not a 3. I don't know. Shane would probably have a lot of wings. Is that what they call it?
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
he probably has a lot of wings because he can, bounce around a little bit. But he's a giver for sure.
What if he would have said no? It's not okay for you to share this with him. We'd have just scrapped this whole thing.
I mean, that's half our podcast.
Major editing.
We in trouble.
Major editing.
We had a 30-minute episode. But, yeah. No, I mean, we've talked about it. Like, I would not have shared that in any way. Like, we're that close. I know he's going to be fine with it. So. And
We wouldn't have a phone call at the end, and it wouldn't have been the name Shane. It would have been like, so today we're talking to Paco. Something random.
But I mean, that's kind of like in my family, like in my house, that's a public story because we all lived it together.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just something he and I only know about.
Right.
It's,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of
Gotcha.
people in our professional workplace, all that kind of like, it was, there are many people that know about it. So,
Yeah.
I am motivated to reach out again and try and have the hard conversation after this. So I am thankful for that.
And one little add-on to that, like, that's going to be a slow process as well. Like, the first phone call can't be, or text message or whatever, can't be all in with, 100% of the feelings and issues. Like, it's got to, from my experience, it's got to start small.
Yeah.
And it will grow, but it's got to start small. That's what I would suggest.
But like we've been talking about reconciling as far as like having an argument, but then coming back together. Is there ways that we could say that reconciling also, it didn't have to be an argument, maybe just you separated ways and just trying to figure out how to get back that relationship because it just separation. Like I know I have a really good friend that I went to high school with and everything, and we were best buds in high school. And then as we got older, life happened and we just separated ways. So now instead of us seeing each other almost every day, now it's more of maybe a phone call once a month. And it's just, man, I got to see you. Yeah, we need to schedule something. And then the next month we're having that same conversation again, you know? So I'm just curious if that would be the same situation. It just doesn't have to be just an argument. It would just be just having that relationship not exist all of a sudden because of whatever the case may be.
Yes, I think it can apply,
Yeah.
but like it's, you have circles of friendship, right? So you're going to be super close with a couple
Right.
people, and then as it
Right.
goes out, it's like,
Yeah.
you can't be super close with everybody you went to high
Right.
school if you went to a
Yeah.
larger school. Now, if your graduating class had 8 people, you might be real close. but,
Right.
But, like you got to have those friendship circles.
Well, I was just trying to think of like something like that happened in my life, and I just couldn't. I guess I'm just too good. I don't have that big old argument
Never
with
made
somebody.
anybody
Such a good
mad.
friend.
Never made anybody
Never
mad.
been mad at anybody.
Such a good
But I've
friend,
also
right.
been that like I'm a 6, right? But at the same time, one of my wings I think was being a 9 or whatever. So it was, I'm always trying to be on everyone's good side, if in a way. So I think that was always one of the things that I did growing up was I never had an argument like a big old fight like that because I always wanted to be on everyone's good side. So
I can't say I've had a lot of big arguments like
Yeah.
that. Which,
Yeah.
if I had, it's probably me. You know what I mean? But
that's probably what it is.
I mean, if you have one's enough. One's enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
For sure.
Especially with somebody that close.
Yeah.
That's you.
I mean, if they weren't close, it wouldn't hurt.
Right. It would just be
If it's an acquaintance, I just
Yeah.
all right, man, whatever. I'll never see you again.
right.
Can I give some final thoughts on
Absolutely.
forgiveness, reconciliation, and restoration? This is how I feel like God helped me see it today. And of course, test it out in his word. Do not take my word for it. But so he just kind of connected the words for me by pointing out that Jesus offers forgiveness to everyone, but like we have to choose to accept to receive his forgiveness. He offers it to everyone. And when we receive his forgiveness, then we are reconciled with him. We are back in a right relationship with him because both of us are wanting that relationship. Before we receive his forgiveness, he wants it. We're still an enemy, but then we're reconciled to him. And then one day in eternity, that relationship will be restored to what it was intended to be in the beginning. Because right now we still have these human bodies made of flesh,
Yeah.
prone to sin. And one day they will be redeemed and we will be restored to what God originally designed in the garden, where it was just perfect, right relationship with him, nothing getting in the way. And that gives all of us hope, no matter what circumstance we are in our, our earthly relationships, that if our relationship with God is right, we are reconciled with him, we have that hope of restoration one day. Promise of restoration one day.
And when he restores his creation in the earth, when he comes back to reclaim what we have broken and messed up too, he will restore all creation, all of his creation.
And Noah's Ark will not be able to battle anymore.
Man.
They'll all be friends again.
I mean, they were friends then. It was just a big wrestling match. They were friends, but
Blew my bracket.
somebody had to be a champion for that.
Yeah.
One. We'll go again one day. But let's finish with a Bible verse. Jennifer referenced some of this earlier. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 13. We're going to start in verse 7. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So there you go. Keep on loving. Don't worry about the other silly stuff. It's just temporary.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you.
Thanks
did
for
awesome.
having me.
Yep.
Good.
Fairly short notice invite, and
It will not
you
be.
rocked it. Yeah.
It will
Well,
not be
Yeah.
70,
long.
70 episodes before
Yeah.
we have
80.
you on
I think
again.
it's been 80.
80.
If
What are you
she-
doing next Wednesday?
Yeah,
she was
so
number
she's two.
2.
Which
This
one are
is-
we on?
I think tonight might be 84. So
It's 84.
That
I thought
sounds
we were
right,
still
yeah.
in the 70s.
no, man.
Nope.
No.
You're up there.
Stop sleeping over there.
I was on a
My
Christmas
goodness.
episode.
Christmas episode.
That, so if we're
That's
being
all right.
technical,
But I mean
Start
that was
planning
a that was a
That was multiple.
it was fun.
what's
It
a
was
collaboration.
Yes,
Yeah.
there were a lot of
That
us.
was fun. We are so since you brought that up
Mhm.
to save us a text message argument here. I think for episode 100, I was kind of thinking about maybe
Gotta
doing
start
something
planning.
like that.
Gotta start planning. That's what I was about to
Yes.
say. We gotta start planning our 100th episode. man.
Episode 100.
It's a big
we
thing.
need
I think it would be crazy if like our first like 10, 15 episodes, all of our guests could be in one place at one
Yeah.
time.
that's what she's saying for the
Well,
Christmas.
oh,
That's what we
okay.
did.
But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but not
Need to
everyone.
start
I mean,
planning that.
we had other people.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
I know your
like a
mind's already
reunion,
there.
a
Mhm.
podcast reunion.
Yep.
Where are they now?
Yeah. Where are you now?
It's been 2 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm still right here.
Had some that passed away. Joanne.
yeah, Miss
Oh, yeah.
Miss Joanne. I don't know if we've said that on here. Miss Joanne
Yeah.
Armour did pass away here recently. So great episode. And someone told me recently, they're like, "Hey, I just went back to rewatch that
Mhm.
episode and
Mhm.
Yeah.
hear some more truth from it." So
Uh-huh.
she is still touching people's lives.
Yeah.
Sure.
But we hope that you enjoyed this. Maybe you needed to hear this, or maybe you know someone else that needs to hear this. Share it with them. We'd love to, have you do that. And next week, we're going to be right back here. We hope you are too. We love you. God loves you more. See you then. Jennifer, you're great.
I know. I don't really.
Oh,
That is
boy.
not a no. That's not a 9
Sure, you're
answer.
not a 3.
That's not a 9. When I'm in health, I go to 3.
Cut that out.
That is not a 9 answer.
That will not be cut.
Not a 9 answer at all.
Thanks for listening to GPS to God. Make sure you leave a rating or review on whichever app you happen to use. Also find us on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to our channel.